The spring and summer of 2013 is one Albertans will never forget. When the rains came, they came with a ferocity that few Albertans had ever seen. Fort McMurray was the first to be flooded. Then, one by one, towns and cities all over Alberta began declaring states of emergency as floodwaters rose. Calgary, Canmore, Bragg Creek, and Exshaw were among the worst hit. But the town that received the hardest blow was the scenic town of High River. When the rains came, the 13,000 residents of High River knew what to expect. Flooding is a common occurrence for them, and they began preparations. But nothing they would do could prepare them for the amount of water coming their way. By June 20th, the Highwood River spilled over its banks. By June 21st, a state of emergency was declared, but it was too late for most residents. The stories and images that floated out painted an incredible picture. Most of what was seen was unimaginable. Citizens being airlifted by the military, farm equipment being used as a last-ditch effort to save neighbors and friends. Then, when the waters began to recede, the extent of the damage was staggering. Grand Prairie watched in disbelief and sadness as our friends, family, and fellow Albertans struggled through a disaster of biblical proportions. Mixed with our emotions was helplessness. Grand Prairie is located 10 hours north of High River, and although we all wanted to help, we were trapped by the geographical enormity of the province we love. But then, like sun breaking through the clouds, ideas about how Grand Prairie could help started filtering around our community. One woman, Karen Seaton, took the initiative and began planning what would soon become one of Grand Prairie's biggest concerts of 2013. In less than 2 weeks, Karen rounded up her own band and then began rounding up other bands to play a benefit concert. Soon, businesses and citizens alike jumped in to help. All of us in Grand Prairie quietly hoped we'd see a couple hundred people attend, and our pipe dream was to raise at most a couple $1,000s. Over a dozen bands and artists from Grand Prairie signed up to play at Muskosipi Park on Sunday, July 7th. On a beautiful sunny day, Grand Prairie shone like it's shone few times in its history. An estimated 4,000 people attended the concert, cheering, crying, laughing, and partying as only Albertans can. As the sun set on this beautiful day, nearly $46,000 was donated to the Red Cross. As tents were taken down and gear packed away, Aquatera employees packed their vehicles knowing that the concert was not the ending, but only the beginning. The next weekend, Aquatera had hoped to head to High River to deliver relief supplies. The call was once again put out to Grand Prairie residents to please donate supplies to help. Like the concert, Aquatera wondered if anyone would help. The result was enough to touch even the most jaded of souls. Over a hectic 72-hour period, Aquatera employees collected supplies and donations at their locations. As donations rolled in, Aquatera realized that their vehicles were not enough to take the supplies down. Once again, local businesses jumped in to help. A local business, Keddy's, donated a trailer to take the supplies down. That trailer was then quickly filled to the rafters. In the end of 72 hours, Aquatera employees saw over 5,000 pounds of supplies such as water, safety suits, gloves, masks, boots, and everything else that High River was requesting. Also, nearly $2,000 in gift cards were donated, which Aquatera then matched. In the end, nearly $14,000 worth of gear and donations were heading its way south. In the span of 96 hours, the residents of Grand Prairie had raised over $60,000 worth of cash and supplies for the people of High River. Reaching High River, Aquatera aligned with the Red Cross. Our volunteers helped with resident assessments, which meant going door to door, asking how people were, and if they needed anything, and to explain the support services available to them. Our volunteers also helped man the distribution center, getting supplies to residents who came in. The Aquatera Community Events van, which is normally used for happy, fun events, now had a very different purpose. Dubbed the ice cream truck by the Red Cross, it was driven all over High River delivering supplies to those that needed them. Tyvek suits, masks, gloves, cleaning supplies all flew off the back of the van. Sometimes it wasn't just a safety item a High River resident would need. Maybe it was just a cold bottle of water or just to talk to a new face. Often, when residents would ask where Aquatera was from, and they were told Grand Prairie, they would tear up and thank us for coming all this distance. The destruction was inconceivable even to see it in person. House after house, neighborhood after neighborhood affected. Everywhere, people were reminded how small they are compared to the power of Mother Nature. But the beauty of High River was everywhere. Neighbors laughing together, strangers becoming friends as they worked together. There is something that no amount of water could damage, and that is the flame of the human spirit. It didn't matter where you were from, just that you were here, helping. Signs thanking volunteers were seen throughout the town. We at Aquatera would like to thank Grand Prairie for your support in helping High River. We would also like to thank the volunteers who came down for the 72 hours we were in High River. We would also like to thank the Red Cross. The work they are doing is nothing short of miraculous. If you can help, please make a donation to the Red Cross to help those affected by the 2013 floods.